A $7 million MSP owner called me last week and his close rates had tanked. What it's trying to determine is it the economy? Is it tariffs? Is it, people just worried about recession? Is it my reps? Is it the process? Like, what the hell is going on? We ran our audit, and what I discovered is something that I actually see really frequently. It might be happening in your business right now, and it's not necessarily what you think. I'm going to show you today like why even the best reps that you may have had might actually be impeding your growth, might be contributing to lowering close rates or flatlining or just like, plateauing and not being able to grow or scale the business the way that you want, and exactly what to do about it before it's too late. So as I was saying, this MSP business owner calls me. They've got a good reputation, right? Like they've been in business for a long time. They've got good Google reviews. They've got decent SEO. There's obviously like improvements that can be made in the funnel and the website and, some of the marketing strategies, things like that. Not perfect, but for all intents and purposes, most things were dialed in, right? It wasn't like for lack of trying, and it wasn't that everything sucked across the board. So what they saw was this trend in close rates. It's just been edging down over the last 12 months. And particularly in these past like 6 months, what they've seen is a fall off. And they've got 2 reps, and both reps are basically doing everything. They are doing their prospecting, they're doing their lead gen, they're doing outreach, they're attending networking events, plugging all that into the CRM. They are, looking to book, some qualifying calls. They're running those to qualifying calls, moving them to discovery calls, like full discovery. And they actually kind of manage that process after they've closed that deal, right? So they have some account management afterwards. So full cycle from beginning of the relationship to the end of the relationship. Hopefully there isn't an end to the relationship, but they are responsible for generating pipeline. They're responsible for converting that pipeline into sales. And then they are responsible for growing and retaining those clients over time. By most accounts, that sounds efficient, right? Like it sounds like if you can get one person to effectively run the entire process, which we'll break down as demand generation, lead generation, prospecting, whatever you want to call it. So generating leads, to converting leads and selling, to account management and growth, right? Which is also responsible for retention. So let's assume there's 3 pieces. If you've got one person that can do all 3 of those, it sounds like it's an efficient process. I understand that, but it's wrong. And what we found was one person was actually phenomenal at lead generation. What he had done is he basically mastered LinkedIn. Okay, so he had figured out between automation, good sell by chat, didn't sound spammy. He was really good at starting conversations, moving people to a qualifying or discovery call, and getting the conversation started. So he was a phenomenal opener. The second rep, we realized, hey, this guy's a phenomenal closer, right? He's great at taking a deal that's been given to him and finding the pain points, finding what the problems were, understanding what the buying process is. Like the way that he ran discovery, the way that he presented, the way that he closed was really solid. So we had one person that was great at opening deals. We had one person that was great at closing deals. Frankly, neither one of them was actually terribly great at account management. In good times, when leads are flowing, when the economy doesn't feel tight, when buying cycles aren't getting extended, when decisions come quicker, when there isn't fear of recession, when there isn't, debates over what happens with tariffs or whatever the hell is happening. Like there's always something. But when things feel tighter, those inefficiencies start to get exposed, because in a market where it's basically there's a surplus and those opportunities are flowing, there's enough to kind of hide or mask the inefficiencies of a sales process. But it's when competition kicks up, it's when the M&A activity kicks up, it's when you start losing clients because they got acquired by somebody else. And the inefficiencies in the sales process start to become killers to your process. And when you think about it, it makes sense, right? Like you can have a bunch of inefficiencies in your process, but so long as total volume makes up for it, it's fine. When volume isn't enough to supplement what's happening, and you've got to look at how do I optimize this process, then you've got to look, a couple layers deeper. Outside looking in, this actually sounds really simple. Like, you've got a guy that's good at opening deals. You've got a guy that's good at closing deals. Why don't you have one just focus on opening deals and one just focus on closing deals? It's economics 101. Specialization gets you more net output, gets you more production for a whole host of reasons, because, including you have the right person focused on a job all the time. Whereas in the system today, you've got this great opener, but he's actually only using maybe a third, maybe half of his time on the thing that he's kick-ass at. 50% of his time is spent on something that he's only okay at. Well, what would happen if you let him focus 100% of his time on something that he was awesome at, and the other person who's also doing the same thing today, right? He's supposed to be out there prospecting and, opening deals and, hitting LinkedIn and doing all this. And he's kind of doing a half-assed job at it because he doesn't like doing it anyway. But what would happen if you just said, hey, how about number one, you just focus on opening these deals. Number two, you just focus on closing these deals. From an impact standpoint to the business, you go, well, that just seems to make sense. And it does, because, at basically every economic concept says specialization is going to net you more production. It's going to net you better returns. So one aspect of it is you have better people doing the thing. The other aspect of it is you have something that is far more scalable. Do you know how challenging it is to go find somebody that's good at opening deals, good at closing deals, and then good at growing your client base? Like, somebody that's good at all of those things, like really good at all of those things. What you typically end up with is somebody who's okay at all of those things. And then what they do is they kind of avoid the things that they're not great at. They focus on the things that they want to do and the things that they're better at. In the real world, like, if you just took those people and focused them in the area that they are best at, then you are going to benefit. I mean, this is like, think about it like a team, right? Like, sales is a team sport. Okay, so think about this like a team sport mentality. Your quarterback is not going to be the best receiver. Sure as shit, not going to be the best lineman. But when you ask somebody to be your opener, be your closer, be the person that's managing the account and growing that account, what you're asking for is one person to play all of the roles. Obviously, like, you as the owner, oftentimes you're the person that's kind of like doing everything. But if you exclude your first hire on the tech side, would you expect your tech one, like your level one tech, to also be the person that's capable of handling the higher level tech, also the person that's going to be your cybersecurity specialist, also going to be like, name all of these things, right? Like, you'd go, nah, you know what we ought to do to make that more scalable, to de-risk it, to get better results? What we need to do is we need to specialize. The sales side is no different. It's just the fact that the tech side better and the ops side better, so you can see what the levels are more clearly and you can understand the benefits that are associated with specializing those roles. But on the sales side, just because you don't understand or don't see the specialization or the effects, like, that's what I see, right? Because I'm on the sales side of it. And I go, hey, if we did over here on the sales side what we do over here on the ops side, guess what we're going to get? We're going to de-risk the operation, right? Because what happens, in this case, there were 2 reps, okay? But what if you have one that's full cycle all the way through and you lose that one rep? It's a high risk situation. And God forbid they are good at all of them. Now you're held hostage as a business owner, because who's actually the most valuable person in your business? Well, it's the person that can find the deals, convert the deals, keep the deals, grow the deals. That's the most important person in your business. So break it down to its components. You're going to de-risk it. You're going to make it more scalable. If you make the sales side more like the tech side, you're going to look at that and go, hey, if we need to double this, I can do that. As opposed to going and finding 2 or 3 more unicorns, crossing my fingers and hoping that they're good at all of the functions on that side of the house. All right. You're going to get better production. You're going to get better quality outputs, just like you do on the tech side, because you have the right person doing the right job. Like, if you hired the equivalent of somebody who's capable of doing everything on the tech side and said, I want you to take all level 1 calls. I want you to handle all the initial tickets. I also want you to handle everything in between. And then also, when things reach a point where we would typically call on you for, better advice and consulting and, more strategy and this and that, we also want you to do that. That person doesn't want to do all of that any more than the person that's capable of closing deals wants to go out and make 120 phone calls a day. Here's what we typically structure. We say, let's start with SDRs, let's start with BDRs, ISRs, whatever you want to call them. right? Like you have one role that is responsible for catching everything that happens to be coming inbound, squeezing everything out of that, right? Like as much as possible, and going outbound and creating some opportunities. That's putting opportunities on the table, right? For somebody else. The next person, the closer, is responsible for running discovery, guiding it through if you're doing an assessment, and then delivering the proposal and closing the deal and handling objections. They are responsible for converting those deals, openers, closers. Once the deal is closed, we hand it to an account manager who is responsible for retention. So there's a customer service, account management side of it, but also growth, right? Like they're in a sales role too. Like they are looking for opportunities to upsell. They are looking for opportunities to maximize LTV. They're certainly looking for opportunities to keep that person for the long haul. All three are sales roles. Does this work? Like, I mean, that's the question I was getting. Like, well, I mean, if we want to do that, like, does that model actually work? Yeah. Like one that we restructured late last year. We did some revamps in the first quarter, and now we're seeing 30% growth in that business, where other people are coming to us, and the market at large, by the way, is largely flat, if not declining. Okay, so we're seeing significant improvements because we have the right person in the right seat. We are specialized, and we are able to grow more efficiently. Like in order to hire somebody, we don't have to hire somebody that's capable of doing all three. We can more effectively hire for the specific role that we're actually hiring for. So if you're looking at it, you're saying my close rates are dropping, sales are just slowing in general, then maybe it's not your reps. Maybe it's not even necessarily the process. Maybe it's the model. Maybe it's the underlying model that you're selling with. Do I need to specialize? Am I not seeing the results that I want? And is this perhaps the thing that's going to get me to the next level and de-risk the business, make it more scalable, get better results, and position me better when confidence and everything returns in the economy? Chances are it will. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If it has, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. There's also at MSPSalesToolbox.com, I have just a library of resources that we're adding to every single month. Playbooks, it's forecast models, it's guides and checklists, like just sales resources that we're creating for clients oftentimes, that we just create like a template for and go ahead and drop it in the toolbox. Absolutely free. If you want to subscribe to that, you'll have lifetime access and get everything as we add more stuff into it. Or you can subscribe to my email newsletter as well. The link's below on that. So again, hope it's been helpful, and see you in the next video. Adios.